Hello, this is Elijah Ignatieff with part two of The Three Lucky Ladies. Best title I could come up with. Probably not a good one. Camille Capel, this is part two. You've heard the first round. What would you like to add to this conversation?
Well, I just want to say that, since, as I mentioned in Vancouver, I was having a number of health problems, including having a terrible, terrible flu where I thought I was on death's door and a cough that just wouldn't go away. And finally, Andrew said, if we're going to get rid of this cough, we need to go be in the sun. And within a couple of days of arriving in Mexico, I was better. So, I've just had a strong feeling that, I heard that if you got to keep your immune system in good shape, and if you're healthy, then your chances of getting really sick are small, and you should just stay away from your loved ones who are old and susceptible. So I did all that. I didn't come back to Vancouver where I would be around my mother and my elderly neighbors. According to their logic, the logic we presented, I thought this would be the best thing for my immune system. And financially it was better, which I believe I covered in the first thing. I'm just feeling a little, things have started to really shift here in Sailita. Yesterday they closed the beaches, but Mexicans, they're not as easily brainwashed, I think. They're a very joyful culture, and there's a lot of touching, there's a lot of laughing. It's been sad to see it, suddenly all these serious faces and everything. But we were kicked off the beach. But then, as soon as the Marines left, the surfers just went out again, right? And then today it was apparently like every 15 minutes they were going up and down the beach, up and down the beach. And of course, the way me and my friends think, we're not like, oh, I guess we should go home and isolate. No, we're like, well, how the fuck are we gonna get to the beach? We better go to the next beach. Like maybe I'll just get a bike and then I can go, right to the end, and then we'll walk through the jungle, we'll go to that beach, Now we just have to get a surfboard, right? Like it's like working around it. So I've been feeling like really confident in my decision to be here. I feel a lot clearer. Also, not massaging people, not being so busy. I feel more connected to the earth. But I did get this message this evening, and for the first time, I'm starting to kind of doubt things. I got this from a friend of mine who's Canadian, who lives in Grass Valley, so she's in the middle of the whole California thing. She's done a lot of ayahuasca. And she says she got this very clear directive from Source to tell me that her theory was that Latin Americans will soon be focused on taking care of their own. Flights between countries will soon not be happening at all. Food supply chains are breaking. Society is becoming lawless. You have no family there or even close ties, which leaves you vulnerable to people who are focused on survival. Supply and food chains are breaking. This is only the tippy tip beginning. Is that where you want to be as society collapses? Think 1 to 2 years, if you can stay safe that long. I didn't see good things for you being there, love. Not good at all. And I really don't like being the messenger. The responsibility sucks. So I'm seeing that and I'm just like, and I turn to my Brazilian friend here and I go, I don't know, I thought these Mexican people were pretty nice. I don't really see them like eating my limbs or anything. He's like, well, I wouldn't be so sure. This is a guy who ran away from Brazil because he lost all right to protest and has hitchhiked from South America to Mexico. So, I have a really cool group of expats, but it's true, I haven't known them very long. Anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? Can I put a question out? Like, am I really crazy here? I was trying to live within my means for one. It seems to me you guys are getting into some serious financial trouble up there. I can't work. I wasn't really able to transition to another kind of work anyway to pay my bills, and now massage is illegal. So what am I going to do? Suddenly become a videographer? I don't know. Here, at least I can live, a taco a day. It's like fucking less than $1. I got rental income. But then, what's this about the food supply? And we got fish here. We got vegetables here. It's warm. That seems to make a big difference. And there's not so much 5G. Apparently it's eventually going to cover the whole planet and you can't escape. But, at least you could enjoy a few more days of surfing before that happens. Back in Vancouver, it seems to me that, I'm visualizing you guys just all being like microwaved within, a couple of months.
Okay.
Except for the people with mats.
Christina, why don't you take that?
I don't have a mat. I guess I'm first. I gotta see ya. Well, first of all, I think we gotta stop putting so much energy in that this is happening and say, let's say what possibly could be occurring simultaneous. Let's say there's a parallel reality here, a parallel universe, even parallel Earth, possibly, and get more like the cancel out that, because if we keep giving 5G attention, we're keeping giving it attention. But what if we knew that we could remove the head of the snake and cut off the head of the snake? You know, there is that possibility that we as a collective have the power to change and transform and transmute the narrative as well by being more heart-centered, in a sense. You know, Melchizedek has this amazing meditation. He did it on Unify this weekend, and you go in as a group, you go into the center of the heart, and you actually, he says, we have a right to do this now to change the external reality. If it, you know, we're witches by nature, there's no accidents, we're star seeds, we're change makers, we've come here for a reason. It's kind of maybe like we need to get on track with why we are here and what is our mission, and to reclaim the higher part of ourselves and the ascended part of ourselves, and we're reclaiming that, and we got to get rid of anything that's not that. We let, you know, it's like, how did Michelangelo carve out David? He carved away everything that isn't David. So we have to kind of look at what is possible and what we have an opportunity to do. You know, and you mentioned, Camille, well, I could do videographer. Well, yeah, maybe you could be doing that while you're down there too. It's like filming this whole thing and interviewing people and talking to people and getting, what's the emotional charge people are having? Because what's our greatest fear right now? In the fall, and I have a feeling that death cycle is preparing me to this. And I'd be taking the surfboard and finding a way to get to that other beach. You know, I'm here for a good time and adventure, and fear is a currency right now. So we want to be really careful that we don't get caught in that current. That's why we can have these conversations, because I don't have to convince you guys of anything. I can just be me. I can just feel this is what's going on for me, and I'm getting transparent, and not have to kind of, you know, calculate what I can say and what I can get away with. Because in the midst of globalization trying to take away our absolute human rights, our freedoms. And like Gila said, it's like freedom. We're in the illusion of freedom. We've been in the illusion of freedom since we were given a birth certificate with a registered number that is checking on the stock exchange every day. We've never really been free. We've been an enslaved planet. We've been an enslaved humanity. And I believe this is somehow also an ascension period of time that has to cull what is no longer serving the whole, like what's not serving the greater good. And people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and maybe they need to be taken out. You know, maybe it's time, like, enough already. Your billionaire dudes is not what is not needed.
I wonder how many people are behind them.
Well, they must, because they have so much money. They're all behind money. I mean, look at Gucci or Gauchi or whatever that doctor guy is that's on with Trump all the time. Like, who he's getting paid billions of dollars just to say what he's saying, and Trump doesn't even want him there. I have a feeling, this is the other feeling I have. I've been really watching closely about what's going on with Trump and the QAnon and all that stuff, and now I'm watching the little things he's dropping, these little cue drops they call, you know, little clues, that I have this feeling that JFK never actually died in that plane crash, and that's really going down the rabbit hole, but that he actually created that because the whole thing was them to avenge the killers of his father. He always wanted to, and he was friends with Trump for many, many years. And I think that Trump is an actor playing a role in that place to bring down the cabal, and he knows that this is all a bullshit virus thing. So he that's why he didn't get so serious about it, obviously. But he knows it's a bullshit move. But he also is in a position where he's not in charge, but he's the frontline guy who's, you know, delivering. And they're making him look like he looks like a clown. He takes a lot of abuse. But I actually feel that there's something that he's doing that's actually genuine. He's made some statements like, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and tunnels. They're connecting all these tunnels of underground where all these abducted children are being kept in tunnels underground between Mexico and Venezuela, and you know, there's like all this pedophilia stuff, and he kind of, I think he's the guy that's bringing this all to the surface, which is the Weinstein, which is the Epstein guy, which is all of this stuff that's coming out, which is suddenly Oprah's getting involved, and Madonna did a weird video the other day, and it's like, there's some weird shit going on, and they're all connected to this other ring. So I don't think they're all working together. There might be more than one thing going on here, but they definitely are not working in favor of, we're the peons. There's no value to us in a sense unless we're producing, and if they're going towards AI, they don't need us to be producing anymore, or you know, but we're creators. We're creator beings. We're not supposed to be producers. Melchizedek said that the next 1,000 years, the women are going to take the lead. The feminine is going to be the force of the nurturing energy on the planet. And when we get through this, and I see this maybe as a like we're in the birth canal. Speaking of tunnel, we're just kind of hanging out in the birth canal, and birth is easy. It's messy in the middle, and we're kind of in the middle of this birth, and you know, bloody and ugly and kind of sad and emotional and traumatic and all those things, and that is what fallout. You know, why aren't they looking at all these other things as pandemics like fentanyl or all these other problems that are much bigger and have been for a long time as major pandemics, because they don't care. It's so lower socioeconomic, and the elders, they're trying to cull it. So yeah, we have the, like Keela said, we got to take back our power. We're going to take back our power and say, and one of the things David Icke says is that if we consent, the consequences are going to be so much greater than us standing up and saying no. And you know, it doesn't even have to be resistance in a sense or rebellion. It's actually, no, you go play that game. We're going over here. Thank you very much. And we're so afraid because we're so conditioned to all these things that we've had. And yeah, they start like that. That's when it gets really tricky, and we're not growing our own food. I feel like we're not prepared, and we've known this was coming. At least I feel that individually. But it was like, oh, it didn't happen in 2012, so now it's here. So yeah, we have the power, especially when we get together, especially when we align our forces. Thanks.
Thank you, Christina.
Yeah.
Keela?
Elijah, I was tuning into what you're saying at the end, which is related to mobilizing people. And I wonder, what can we do? I thought it was very encouraging to listen to Brian Rose speaking to the fact that yesterday there were about over 7 million people listening to his interview with David Icke, which was laying out beautifully and so eloquently what is going on according to his research. Now, truth, I don't know what the truth is.
7 million people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And how interesting that YouTube,
Took it down.
yes. So I think it's fascinating to see how people listen to the mainstream media, watch the news over and over again, get reprogrammed and reprogrammed, and into such a fear of survival that when I try to speak to my mother about some things, and you know, I try very gentle. I'm not gonna like throw a lot of information to her, but little thing like, oh mom, did you actually look into this World Health Organization? Did you really check who they are? Who's the person at the head of this organization? What's his background? People just sit, they take in the information from the mainstream media, and there's not a lot of questioning. So,
Like, who is who?
who's who in the zoo?
Who in the zoo?
So, I have this crazy idea. I'm thinking, how can someone, you know, take over a mainstream media broadcaster? That'll be interesting. You know, I don't have any answers right now, but I feel like I'm quite shocked by the complacency of so many people and how fear paralyzes us in such a way that we are shutting down and we're afraid to ask questions, which is like, it's part of our true nature. If you look at little kids, you know, they ask tons of questions. Hey, why is this happening? Hey, who is this person? Blah, blah, blah. And we're like, we shut down that part within ourselves, and we're just, oh, this is happening. Oh, this is happening. And that's concerning. What can I say? So how do we mobilize people? What ways do we have as per being responsive and responsible? And how do we even get people accountable? And
Can I answer that?
yeah, please.
No.
Someone answer that.
No, Camille, if you leave the conversation for like 7 minutes and then come back in the middle of it, you don't get to answer the question right away. It's my turn after Gila, and then we'll go to you.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but my mother was phoning me frantically because Andrew was coming over to get a key, and she demanded, I said, I'm on a call, and she demanded to talk to me right then, okay? So
Okay,
I had to answer that.
I got you. But still, you don't get to answer.
Fine.
It's always someone in control.
Well, she will get to answer, but not right away.
Not right now.
So yeah, I feel like yesterday I was sitting with a friend and we were looking at the Granville Bridge, which is kind of empty. You see like one bus goes once in a while. And we were thinking, what if like a bunch of us are just gonna walk on the bridge? We can keep like 2 meters apart and sing or have some banners or like do some kind of a creative act that speaks to what we really believe in or what we would like to talk about. And
I have an idea for that.
yeah, just an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Christine.
Well, I've been going out in my onesie, as Gila saw, on the beach. We have this little, you know, secret meeting on the beach, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to create, you know, a bunch of onesies, like either we do painted bodies or some people onesies that are monkeys, you know, monkey, see no evil, hear no evil. That would be like the face mask, right? Would be the speak no evil.
Huge.
And so we're just a bunch of monkeys, and we would be, we'd all be in, you know, everybody would be in monkey suits, and we kind of like, it would be more of a playful way to put out a message of, you know, we're not playing this game anymore because we're going to monkey around and cause a little bit of a stir up, because Curious George, right? You know, the whole, and that also that our DNA is just a little bit different than that of the bonobo monkey. So we're kind of very close to the monkey kingdom, that we actually just go and be monkeys and monkey around and cause stir up. Because you're right, there's a complacency,
Okay.
and we need
to.
to,
Heal, are you finished?
yeah, go on. That was my little.
Yeah, I wonder how can we approach as many people as possible, and I feel like I'd love to go out to the streets and do some kind of a creative, I wouldn't call it a protest, let's call it
A parade.
a parade, um, a
Play test.
a celebration of love and freedom. Hey, we can still do that. I don't know for how long, but let's just, while we can, do something. And you know, we can all wear masks or something. So there's a different way to go about it. So yeah, what I was saying is, first of all, you know, mainstream media and the programming of people, that's something that I wonder, how can that be tackled in any way, shape, or form, other than, you know, each person individually share information in a very gentle way with people that are completely clueless, like their families or some friends that are really caught up in the fear, because this unseen little virus is just creating a havoc, and nobody really knows. First of all, actually, a lot of scientists, especially ones that are not within systems and are more independent, speak to the fact that this is not a deadly virus. And when they show numbers and statistics of rate of death, it's clear as the sunlight. So we need to question that. What is going on? Who is bringing the numbers? Those testing kits that apparently somebody was talking about, the fact that anybody who's tested will come up with corona because it's within our bodies anyways. So again, I would love to see more information that is questioning the mainstream narrative out there en masse. And this is why I feel Brian Rose was doing an awesome job. And I would love to support many people like him that have a larger audience. And I wonder who's, you know, who's in Canada and British Columbia, Vancouver. How can we do that?
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to add just a few things, and then I desperately want to get over to you, Camille, with I know you have some great input. We're coming near the end. This is just a sample. This is just I think an idea that anyone can do is just invite friends together to discuss this topic and other topics like it, and to find out what your voice is, to find out where your line in the sand is, to find out what you really believe, and are you willing to go in front of the world, or at least in front of your community, and speak about it? Because if this is, if let's say 100 people see this and they all duplicate this, everyone invites 3 friends, goes into Zoom, and discusses this topic, you'll find out that a lot of people are researching. There's a lot of things that are going on that maybe you don't know, but just that is a wave. And then if every one of those sends it to there, and everyone is looking just to get 100 people, just 100 people to watch it, and then make your own. I mean, that's a viral wave. That is something that could keep, that could be like the virus. Like, we need to be like a positive thought virus. We need to come up with ideas like you've suggested that are going to make us more empowered individuals. And I think that we get that empowerment when we start to work as teams. We get that empowerment when we start to share each other's gifts. We get that empowerment when we actually speak our truth to people who are willing to listen to us and see what kind of response we get. Instead of being passive and having this corporate media just give us this message of fear and have that be our only narrative for interpreting reality right now. I think right now that it's a huge sort of we're all in front of a doorway. We're in front of several doorways. And we're either going to go back to the past or we're going to go into the future. But one of them is controlled by us and one of them is controlled by somebody else. And I think you have to ask yourself which door you want to go through and how are you going to participate in your life around finding out the difference between these doors. So, Ms. Capel, I would love to hear from you now and then maybe get a quick wrap up from everybody because I think we're coming to the end of our time.
I think it's a fun idea to demonstrate on the bridge and stuff, and might be fulfilling for the people who are doing it. But I guess my understanding is that these installations of 5G, for example, are illegal. And I feel like things like this should be covered by mainstream media and by municipal governments, like writing letters to them going, do you realize that they're installing stuff in the schools? This is illegal stuff. Do you realize these people you're not supposed to be doing non-essential work right now. And all of these companies are working. Like, I guess my feeling is that, yes, there's a few people that are in charge and the media has manipulated everybody into this virus, but what happened to all of the other intelligent people in power? I mean, there's millions and millions of not all politicians are assholes. There's millions of people who, look at the people who put the Granville Island, we're just talking about the Granville Bridge and nobody being on it. And I was thinking about all of these drafts and drafts of trying to make the greenest Granville Bridge. There's so many projects and so many people that are in positions of power. It's not just about us posting on Facebook. There are politicians, Spencer Chandra Herbert, our school board, like people that this is their job to protect us. And I just feel like if they actually woke up and busted these assholes, that something would happen. That's why I felt like that New York Times article was so important, because it was pointing out, I don't know if did you guys see that? Like, there's a New York Times article that I posted that says that there are dictatorships that are springing up around the world. In Israel now, you can be thrown in jail for 6 months in prison for not properly isolating. I mean, this is real. I just heard that in Vancouver, you can get charged $1,000 for not being socially distant, $50,000 as a business for not being socially distant. And so it's these gradual steps, and the next thing's going to be like, well, you got to get a wristband to surveil to make sure you're socially distancing, and then you'll get like a shock if you even try to hug somebody who could be supposedly infected, right? Like, these are the steps that I see it's going for. And these things that I've been saying like 2 weeks ago that seem really far-fetched are sort of starting to seem more believable as things unfold. Basically, I need to get on it and I have some templates to send out to municipalities. Things should be sent to school boards. Things should be sent to everybody. And, politicians and mainstream media should be doing something. I mean, unless we truly are completely off base here with these conspiracies. Like, are we really? I mean, I wish, I talked to Andrew, I talked to my mother, and they're like, we're doing so well as BC. Our numbers are going down. We're going to be just fine in a couple months. It's going to be summer, And, I keep saying, I really, really hope you're right. But I just don't think so.
Hila?
I agree. I think that there must be public figures, politicians, people within systems that have sense of integrity and ability to be more critical thinkers and see that something is wrong in this picture. So I want to be hopeful about that. And we talk about we create our own reality. So what do we want to focus on? What do we want to create, and how to create it, and at the same time be realistic in terms of the threat of the 5G, for example, which we know is extremely harmful and is happening. We know that there's Agenda 21. It's again, you can look it up. it's open to viewing to the public. And the whole notion of
I don't know what Agenda 21 is.
I'll send you some information. Bottom line is it's a UN document that speaks to reducing the amount of the population on the planet in many ways. And it's horrifying. What can I say? It sounds like from a very dark science fiction movie, what they want to create here. And you can see it when you watch people like Bill Gates and others. But instead of giving that too much power, I want to focus on, okay, so how do we take back our power? And what do we give power to in a way that we feel safe enough, that we can call on a lot of people, and that we can have a very clear message that is also backed up in some facts and numbers, in science, with spirituality, because I feel this is where I want to give my power to.
Thank you. Christina?
So yeah, how do we take back our power? Well, I've been listening to people like Charles Eisenstein and you know, some of the thought leaders. I'm on a call with Jeffrey Armstrong, Wisdom Wednesdays, tomorrow, and then been doing Malkeith, some of the meditations. You know, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're looking for self-actualization in a system that's, you know, got us down on the basic physiological needs not being met, which is why we're challenged to get the self-actualization, because you're spending life force energy just getting our basic survival needs. And now we're feeling it, really feeling it, because most people on the planet are, if they even have a paycheck, they're one paycheck away from not having a meal. And they know so this is, to me, psychological.
2 days away from not having a meal here in Mexico. Some guys selling blankets on the beach.
Yeah, that's how most of the population lives. And it's so like, it's so sad, really, because the planet has all the resources for us to thrive. We know this. It's mismanagement of resources. And so how do we take up, I don't know, you know, do we rise up against these governments? Do we find people within places of power that actually will align with us, that are critical thinkers? Because from the moment go, our education system, everything's been poisoned in a sense. So we have to really look at, so what have I written down here? Yeah, so Josh Dosol, while I was on the call, I was looking to see what he's just recently posted, and there's places in Vermont where they've got a sign over the seeds of, like, seeds are not essential items, seeds to grow food. So I think we have to right now think of, what do we need now that we have to not stockpile, but start gathering, like seeds. I looked on Alibaba to see maybe we should get some EMF devices so that we can actually go around and what are they called, Elijah? Do you know? Like, they're the EMF detectors, so you can actually see where the levels are at, so we know what.
You can actually get an app for that.
Is there an app for that? Well, yeah.
I downloaded an app. I haven't entirely figured it out, but there's apps. It was just on AR Wave.
Oh, okay.
It was one app where you can measure the Wi-Fi in the air.
They measure it? Okay. Well, then, what are these little detectors? They're not expensive if you go to Alibaba. And I could get, you know, maybe 5 of those or something just to have for people. But those kind of things. And then, like, connecting with the people that have some of the answers on how do we, like, on creating community. Who's got land right now? Where can we start setting up some so that we become sustainable? because we're not going to change the world. We can only change our own situation. We only have so much. We can't control what's going on there. We can only take an understanding of it. But Einstein said imagination is greater than knowledge. So like, let's start to use our imagination and our wits about us to take control of our own lives and our own destinations. Because otherwise we'll look back and say, well, we knew, but we didn't do anything. Because you can get overwhelmed by it too, but we're not alone. We're not. We got a lot of help. And I think we have a lot of help from other dimensions too. They're rooting for us. The Palladians, the Syrians. Oh, I did hear something interesting. I don't know. Has anyone heard about a comet coming that's called CV19 or something? Have you heard that? Anybody hear that? There's a comet that's supposed to be out there, and it's going to be coming towards the Earth in mid-May. Oh, and also listen to Magenta Pixie. If you ever have heard Magenta Pixie, she channels some pretty interesting stuff right now. She's long-winded like David Icke, but I think that's about all I can think of. Out of chaos comes creativity, so let's get creative.
I would like to finish off here and start by thanking the three of you for coming here and spending your valuable time. And I feel this is a part of something bigger where this could lead to something. This is just a beginning. This is showing you that here's a possible team, a possible media team, a possible team of people that can get together and actually start to use your power and look at your gifts. I know the three of you are very gifted. The three of you are very talented and brought together, perhaps with me, perhaps with someone else as your fourth. I think you can do wonders. And we don't have to do it all by ourselves. It should be fun. It should be creative. It should be using our talents and our gifts. It should actually bring a way to create the lifestyle that we want and to share this knowledge with the world. And I know I was asked about the very secret plan and what was going on by Miss Camille Capel, because she has tracked me over the years and she knows that behind Captain Sweep are other